My fiance is drowning in child support payments. I'm rethinking our wedding.
I think you should think about a boat.
So, first thing I want to say is I love my fiance. He's a great guy, a wicked smart, kind,
Wicked
funny,
smart.
wicked
It also
smart.
says whip smart.
Oh, I mean, what does that mean? Who knows what that
Like
means?
he's like whip smart.
That no one says.
Like
Whip smart, kind, funny. And a year and a half ago, I would have never have imagined I'd be at this point. Oh, we've been dating for 5 years ever since we met. He works at a call center and I'm a postal worker. We make a moderate income and the wedding is tentatively in April. Small courthouse wedding with a tasteful reception afterwards.
Tasteful reception.
By the way, this comes from Boyfriend Drowning in CP. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime. So I apologize in advance for the legal gobbledygook. He hasn't really kept me in the loop, and I'm a mail carrier, not a lawyer. I don't have a head for this. So 1 year into our relationship, he got a notice for paternity from the state he used to live in for a 3-year-old boy.
Whoa.
You just get a letter in the mail when
You have a boy.
you have a boy.
3 years later?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like
getting served.
yeah, but with a whole child that has a personality.
You
That,
got
that kid.
served with a kid.
You know what you do? You wait like 7 more years. You send your child to live behind like an orchestra house, and then you casually like happen to run into him on the street while he's playing the guitar. In
Yeah,
a really
but finger
beautiful-
style,
yeah,
finger style. Yeah.
And you're like, never give up on your dreams. And I think you're maybe
And then you
Irish.
take him into isn't it a different church?
Yeah, or something.
And then you teach him how to busk
and
on
then
the
you
street.
say, "What's your name, little boy?" And he goes,
Wow.
That's what you do.
That's what you do.
So yeah, turn those lemons into lemonade, I guess.
Turn
Yeah.
those little
Put that child to
turn those
work.
random children that show up on your door in 3 years into prodigies.
So clearly, this happened way before I met him. He thought it was ridiculous, but took the ordered DNA test, and turns out he is the father.
You are the father.
Yeah, well, you don't just get mail in the, 3 years later if they're not pretty sure.
I mean, how do you test that though?
DNA.
Or with a
DNA.
paternity test, but does he have to take it? I guess it's court ordered.
It seems like it's a court order. Yeah.
Turns out he is the father. Insert Mari audience catcalling here.
What?
Like the Mari thing.
What?
It's like the are you the father? Are you the dad? Whatever that show is. Paternity
No.
court something.
You are not the father.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay.
Woo!
The mother was apparently mentally unwell, and it turned out the boy was in the custody of the grandparents. They offered to adopt the boy if my fiance gave up all his paternal rights, and he jumped at the offer. So he was like, take
It's like,
this
fine,
kid
take this 3-year-old
away from
I'll
me."
find him in 7 years.
They pulled some strings. I've heard it's supposed to be hard, but we literally flew down to his old state on the date they told him to, signed some papers in front of a judge, and that was that. Clean
That's
my hands
wild.
of that 3-year-old kid.
That's kind of wild. Like, imagine being in that relationship. Like, imagine being.
What do you think? Would you like let's say you were dating someone
Yeah.
and like even if it was like I don't know, like a couple months of relationship.
Yeah.
And they get served with a child and they sign away their kid. Does that make them think of you? Like, does that make you think of them any differently?
Probably. I mean, we heard that he jumped at the chance.
Jumped.
I think if someone jumped at the chance to just sign away the rights for their child, and also the fact that they find out 3 years later, I'll be like,
Yeah, I mean, I think I would be.
I don't think I would necessarily, like, I'm not saying that it's not necessarily the right decision for him to
Yeah.
give up those rights, because probably the grandparents can provide him a better life, or the child a better life, but like,
But the
but
jump,
the jumping.
the jump.
Yeah.
I at least want a little bit internal conflict.
Yeah.
You
Maybe
know?
like a
well
running
jump.
start
Yeah.
into a dive.
Or like
but just
a
an immediate
fast
jump?
walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, a fast walk to it, but a jump is a little bit much.
Yeah.
Maybe even a skip. Well, I personally am ambivalent about the whole thing. It seemed like he just gave up all the rights to his son without a care, but in the end, it's his business, not mine. I told myself I would be a supportive stepmother if the boy ever came to him for help/answers when he was older. There was some messy legal business about arrears child support because the mother apparently was on welfare for years, and the state wants repayment from the fiance
Wait, but a
as
lot of
child support because she was on welfare from the state. So he owes child support back payments, I guess.
But I'm wondering, because a lot of people are saying in the chat that if he gave up parental rights, then he doesn't owe
Child support?
child support. But maybe
But
it's
I guess,
the back payment?
yeah, like maybe it's like it's a 3 years
But-
that the state was paying. So he only
How is
gave up
that?
parental rights 3 years later. And now the grandparents are taking control of that.
But how is that? I mean, like, I guess this is how it works, but it doesn't seem sensical to me if someone didn't know they were a parent. Like, let's say, someone finds out 16 years later because
16
like
years
the
of back
birth
payments.
month. Yeah, the birth. Like, can you get someone for
Yeah.
16 years of back payments?
I believe so, based on this. Is that true? Let us
I don't think
know
that could possibly be true.
I feel
in
like
the
it's
chat.
more common than we think.
I don't know much about it because he refused to share, only that it's around $20K for 3 years. Dang! $20K. Sophia, you're a mess. A couple years go by. I take fiance to the DMV to renew his license because it's way past expired and he won't do it. Lo and behold, it's suspended. I wonder why.
His
But I see you in the
license is
chat.
suspended?
His license is suspended.
But that's what you renew it for.
Why? Past due child support
Oh.
judgment for
That's crazy.
another child.
No.
A
No way.
separate child. A 12-year-old
What?
girl. And it's $30,000 for this kid.
Wait, did he know about this child?
Fiance is literally sick, and I mean he threw up all night. So
Man.
sounds like he didn't know. But also, how is he finding out about these kids so late?
Yeah.
Worse, in order to get his license suspended, he had to contact child support department in his old state and give them all his current info, where he works, where he lives. And soon enough, a notice comes through HR.
No.
He's going to be garnished 25% of his after-tax pay because of the child support judgment. 25%.
What does that mean?
It means that after taxes, the government's taking 25% of his pay. So if he's paid let's say he's paid, $1,000 after taxes,
Yeah.
they're taking $250 of that.
Yeah. Okay. And if someone had like taxes coming up soon
Mm.
and they were being paid by a company, how would you help them with their taxes?
I think you would go online and you would research it.
Get on that real quick.
You
That's
should
what I
get
would
on
say.
that.
No, this isn't for me.
You should get on that.
This isn't for me.
Just saying,
This
I'm
is
saying,
for-
hypotheticals,
this is for
hypotheticals
OP's
here.
This is your coming of age
This is
moment
for OP's
as a-
boyfriend. Yeah.
as an adult.
No, this is not me. I'm ready. I'm fine.
I'm sure you are. Reddit, he just shut down after that. Stonewalls any conversation regarding the issue at all. I took up more of the bills, but now we're both struggling. We have had to move into a smaller, crappy apartment using my credit alone because his has a big fat judgment on it. He had to refinance his almost paid off car because he couldn't afford the high payments. And there's some kind of hearing coming up. I don't know what it's about because he flatly refuses to tell me. I think maybe it's to adjust the payments based on his current income, which has grown due to a promotion. Okay, at least we got somebody coming up.
How many secret babies would it take for you to
break
leave?
up with someone?
Yeah. Like they don't know about the babies either.
I mean, I think something we've said on the show is like, the past is the past. And
Yeah.
we want to take people for who they are. But if who you
But
are.
how many?
How many?
How many?
Depends how long I'm dating. Like a month, I'm out.
No, it's not a month. It's however long OP's been dating.
One secret baby for every 5 years of marriage.
Okay.
Either way, he hasn't bought plane tickets, or rather hasn't asked me for the money because he can't afford them. I think he's not going. It'll be an automatic judgment against him. Here's the thing. He could request a DNA test for the girl. He hasn't. You totally should to make sure that's actually your kid. Though he has told me he's certain he's not the father.
He's like, I'm not the father. I'm not the father.
Thank God. Thank
Okay.
God.
No, he's just saying that. He's just going, I'm manifesting this right now. I'm
can't be
not the father.
He could hire an attorney. I've offered to front the cost, but he has 1,000 excuses. He had to get one in another state. They gouge him because he wasn't there. He doesn't have the time. Excuse. The hearing is in 3 weeks. I don't know what's going on, and he's so passive about it that I'm worried. So I opened up an official looking notice he received a few months back but never bothered to open. You're joking.
No.
There's a third child.
What is this man doing?
Yeah, this guy's got.
What is
strong
this man
seed.
doing?
Oh my goodness.
No, but
This
the
guy's
thing
potent.
He
the
must
thing
just be,
is-
I mean, his reflexes are definitely not strong at the very least.
No. But like, I don't even think that's the crazy thing for me because people have accidental children all the time. How does this man
3?
have 3 secret children? How is he finding 3 people that aren't telling him that they had a child with him until 3 to 12 years later?
To get pregnant, you have to
Yeah.
you have to be doing it raw for like a year.
Well, not necessarily.
I mean,
like,
for like on average. On
no,
average.
no.
Look
Because,
at how look on the average time it takes for a couple to get pregnant.
Average time. The average time to conceive for healthy couples is around 6 months.
Okay.
But it's
Okay.
normal for some couples to take longer, up to a year.
Okay, so that's
6
like
months to a year. Do I know women?
I
so
have,
let's say like 6 months
bah,
over one person, and then we have X
and I have-
over 100s. That's 600. I don't know.
There is a third child. This one is a brother of the girl. Maybe the hearing is actually about him.
Oh,
God dang it. I just don't know. He has actually left the house for a long walk. When I questioned him a few weeks back, man needs more than a long walk. I am not a nagging person.
Wait,
Asking him to deal with his BS is uncomfortable for me too.
hold on though. Because unless this boy is a twin, then he saw that woman twice. The one he had a 12-year-old girl with.
She hid right.
She would have had to hide the
This
child.
is suspicious.
Either he's hiding or she was hiding.
If I have to confront him with an ultimatum, we've reached the point of no return. But I'm almost there. I think you should be there.
Yeah, man.
I
You're
love my
almost there?
fiance. He's $50K
Oof.
for the first boy and girl in debt that will haunt him for the foreseeable future. He won't do anything about it, just sticks his head in the sand and hopes it goes away. Maybe he's depressed. He
He's
acts
definitely
normal
depressed.
as if none of this is happening.
He's gaslighting himself.
There might be more on the way with the third child. If I stay with him, I'll never be able to buy a house. I will have to make all major purchases on my credit alone, and we can never combine income. He has abandoned 3 children. I don't know the full stories of the relationship between him and the mothers, other than it was painful and full of lies. One is his biological child for sure. The other 2 are a question, but they may as well be in the eyes of the state. He doesn't care about them other than the bi-weekly garnishment on his paycheck. As far as I understand, he's never asked about them once. I had a pregnancy scare last month. Well, actually, I found out I had been pregnant via miscarriage. Oh, no condolences needed. Never mind. I didn't tell him it's done, but the first thought in my head after I realized what came out was my child would have been the 4th in line for any support if things went south. Who says he wouldn't abandon me too? We do plan on having children eventually. My heart loves this guy. My head says I'll be throwing away my financial future if I stick with him. What does Reddit say? And there's an update the next day. But what do you think, Sophia? Should OP listen to the heart that says I love him or the head that says I will be financially ruined if I stay with this guy?
Head. And also, I feel like OP is, I mean, in part rightfully so, thinking about the financials. But, like, I think she's thinking about them too much, you know? She's like, oh, I'm leaving him because
of finances. That feels so cruel. It's like,
no, you're leaving him because he has 3 secret children.
Yeah, and I feel
that
like
he's not even thinking about.
yeah, the financials are worrisome.
They are
But I
worrisome,
think
of
what's
course.
more worrisome is like the potential lies that are
Well,
embedded in this whole scenario.
the potential lies, the fact that he's now trying to abandon kind of 3 children that he has
Mhm.
some responsibility for.
Mhm. Maybe the 2 children are questioned, but
question-
he's
well, but then-
paying.
but-
He's accepting
but
he's
that's the
accepting that he's
thing.
paying for them.
Yeah, even though the 2 children are a question mark, he's not putting in any effort to figure out, you know, if they are his.
Yeah.
And
He's
that's
just
also
I
a
mean,
problem.
he's basically acting as if they are his.
Yeah,
But saying that they aren't.
yeah, this man is ostriching.
Yeah. But we got an update.
Secret children.
Secret children. So unfortunately, someone linked my previous post from another subreddit, so the post was locked and deleted. The basic gist was my fiance had stuck his head in the sand and was ignoring child support notices and hearings to the tune of $50,000 for children conceived way before our relationship started. After the second surprise child, he had completely shut me out on the subject. I opened up some of his forgotten mail and saw there was a notice for a third child. And to recap, baby one, 3-year-old boy, he was able to give up his paternal rights in favor of the mother's grandparents because the mother had mental health issues. $20,000 child support in what is that? Arrears? 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 What is that? How does he pronounce that? Baby two, 12-year-old girl, $30K ongoing child support. I don't know the story behind this one, and he isn't talking. Baby three, brother of the 12-year-old girl. The birth date was on the paperwork, but he took that letter with him. Thank you for all the comments, PMs, and valuable feedback from my other posts. The ones that told me I too was sticking my head in the sand. Honestly, good point.
Yeah.
Really put it in place with me, and did the ones who gave me professional, as did the ones who gave me professional insight that it was simply not possible for him to have been completely blindsided with all 3 children.
Well,
yeah, I mean, with the brother thing.
The brother thing. It like either the brother's older or younger. He would have known, or he should have known, unless the mother was some kind of schemer who hid the child away.
The children, yeah.
You know, unless they were meeting at like a hotel or something.
Yeah.
You know, he should have known something about that other child. Kirsch says, Elon, is this you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the only scenario I could see for those other 2 kids is he was having an affair with this person consistently and didn't know about the children.
I think so.
And then those children came from another partner or something. That wasn't a marriage. But again, pretty sus. Caitlin Van Campen says, bro was running from the child support payments and the child support finally caught up.
Yep.
I think that is probably the most likely scenario. Arrears.
Back payment.
So I was in a mood when he got home tonight. I showed my fiance, who I'm now calling Johnny Appleseed, thanks to a previous commenter, the letter I opened about the third child. Luckily, he didn't get all huffy about me opening his mail because I was not in the mood. Johnny's face just fell. I think we're getting the truth. We're going to get the truth. And he said it was impossible for him to be the father of the third child. He didn't know about it, not having opened his child support mail over the last few months. That the mother of the 12-year-old child had won child support judgment against him for the girl and now was clearly looking for more. I told him I thought that was BS and I wanted the truth now, that I'd been looking through his old state's law and the courts can't have ruled him the father of a 12-year-old without evidence. He pulled his usual Stonewall stuff, said it didn't matter because there was a judgment against him. He was screwed for life. He actually started to cry. I kept on him, and he finally told me the truth. The truth comes out, baby.
Give it to me.
So he and the baby mama were in love since they were teenagers, but it was an on and off relationship. She was drama. She got pregnant, and he was there for her. But right before the baby was born, she told him he wasn't the father.
You are not the father.
He was stubborn and proud and still signed the birth certificate, but he left her soon after at her request and didn't have any contact. Why didn't he get a DNA test? It was expensive and his heart was broken.
But he still has some sort of like...
Out. He still has an out.
Well, no, but he still has some sort of responsibility because he signed the birth certificate.
Yeah, but if you can prove that paternity was false, I mean, if you can prove the paternity fails, then you could get out of it. By the end of this, he was crying. I started crying too, and I told him I can't marry him right now with all this going on.
Finally.
Yes. Oh my
Finally.
God.
I mean, he
finally.
lied to you about that.
Yeah. OMG, did he go instantly from sorrowful to pissed? He kept asking me how I could do this, that I knew about the child support going in, and that he'd always been honest with me.
That's not true. You just admitted to lying.
The truth, yeah. No, he'd said nothing or insinuated she put his name on the birth certificate. Not the same as honesty. That he knew baby mom was trying yet again to ruin his life. And the judgment was already in. There was nothing he could do because the courts always ruled in the favor of the mother. There was no point in trying. This was all her fault for trying to ruin his life. And by taking her side over him, I was letting her.
Oh my goodness. This man is just doing the whole woe is me routine.
Yeah. Reddit, I'd like to say I threw in some good zingers. The fact is, when things get heated, my brain stalls out. I said some things about how he was handling the situation, keeping me locked out of what was going on with the upcoming hearing. And if he kept blowing this off, he could go to jail. But my delivery sounded kind of lame, even to me. It's never like how I practice it in my head or can type it out here, you know? Then he started asking me if this was about a male coworker I had once given a ride home like 3 months ago if I had an affair with him.
He's deflecting.
He is deflecting. He's trying to like get the conversation away from all of
because
his
he can't
junk.
take responsibility.
He can't take responsibility. I mean, he can't take
taken
responsibility of
for
3
12
kids.
years.
Yeah. Oh, what the F? No, I took off his ring, his grandmother's, and told him to take it.
Ooh.
That he needed to move out tonight, stay with someone else, and give me some space. The wedding was off, and I needed a few days to consider the rest of the relationship. Good idea. Definitely a step back. He kept asking me why. Like he couldn't believe I was breaking out the wedding because of a little old thing like $50K in debt, 3 surprise children, and a complete shutdown of the subject and the lying. Then he called me shallow, that money means more to me than love.
That's so funny. That's so funny. This man will do anything but look in a mirror.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean,
you
he can't.
Turner right now. What's love got to do with this?
Mm-hmm. Well, it went on, but I'm already sick of reliving this. He does swear there is no possibility of any more surprise children, period. He packed a duffel full of clothes and left, having convinced himself that I was either cheating on him or shallow and money hungry. So I spent the evening rereading comments. I've done the right thing, right? And browsing for rent signs, also the right thing. The lease is in my name only because of the judgments on his credit reports. Ugh, this is what I've become, lying to landlords because of my irresponsible fiance. He probably has some sort of resident rights anyway. Meh, at least he's out of the apartment for now. I texted him a long message about an hour ago. Johnny, before we join our lives together, I need to know you can handle your responsibilities like an adult. Go to the hearing. I will help you with a lawyer, with a plane ticket, whatever. If you treat me like a partner, maybe we can rebuild our relationship. I love you.
Girl.
Is she doing this like...
Girl.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Don't
I know
give
she
him
loves
out.
him, but
He's terrible.
I understand wanting to give someone a second chance.
But you've given this man 3 chances.
You've given him so many chances already, and he's shown that he's like lying. And I think this giving him another chance is just because maybe you want to stay comfortable in the relationship.
I mean,
yeah, and also with the last comment too. Yeah, Dutch Kasana says, especially after that last moment, like you open your
he
eyes.
accused you of cheating on him because you told him that it wasn't okay that he isn't taking care of any of his problems.
He hasn't answered. I hope he listens to reason once he cools down. He has so many good qualities.
I doubt that they outweigh the bad.
I had to share the very worst in my post to you all. You'd be an excellent father if you wanted visitation, and I'm willing to put into the work to sort this out and move forward with these kids if he is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I would be an excellent president if I wanted to be president. What?
If my grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike.
There's a lot of work to be done here. And I think a lot of work that you can't do. He needs to do a lot of work on his own. I'm not saying you can never be together, but what I am saying is please, 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 please be separate for a while.
I mean, be separate at least until he figures his stuff out.
Yeah. He's convinced himself he is screwed for life. And I think it's paralyzed him. It's a terrifying place to be. I know. Basically, everyone wanted me to punt him to the curb, but I'm hoping this break is enough of a come to Jesus moment for him to prove he's not an irresponsible person. Basically, if he wants to fight for this relationship, he has got to go to the hearing, handle his business, get on a payment plan, and keep on it. Then seek relationship counseling. Lots and lots of relationship counseling. Then we'll see. I still may break up permanently. Okay, that's good. But at least he'll have sorted out a thing or two. Maybe I'm just holding on to hope. What do you think, Sophia? I think for sure.
Yeah, you're holding on to hope more than...
Yep. More than what? More than what? More. Yep.
Spider-Man.
Yep. holds on to a
the
web.
webs.
Yep, that was great. So that's it. I really wish I had thought of something awesome to say during the argument, like maybe I'm holding on to hope harder than Spider-Man holds on to webs.
Exactly.
But life isn't a movie.
No, it's
not
a highway.
There we go. She's on it.
Boom.
Ball is in his court.
Ball is life.
Let's see if he mans up or not. Anyone been through anything like this before? I hope not.
I think you may be the first.
I did blindside him a little because I too had been way too passive in letting this slide. How do I help him help himself? And we got an update. It might feel like, oh, I'm abandoning him when he needs it.
Yeah.
But like in actuality, you were letting him solve his own problems and harness his own independence. Yeah, and be an adult.
The thing is that I'm sure that nobody really is prepared to take care of 3 secret children.
No.
But when it happens, your responsibility to take care of it.
He hasn't answered the text with the offer to help. I've called the landlord and requested a new lock for the door. He's not on the lease, and it's probably not legal. But as someone pointed out, and I agree, he's adverse to going to courts. Responses have been passionate. I don't think I was clear. We're essentially done. I turned his grandmother's ring, told him to give me space. If he accepts help and steps up to his obligations to his children with no backsliding, only then will I consider taking him back. Not for immediate marriage. JFC, I'm not insane.
No.
What does that mean? What's JFC?
Jesus effing Christ.
Not to get pregnant, as some lovely commenter suggested, but considering it's morning and he still hasn't answered the text, it probably doesn't matter. Yeah, I think he's given
The thing is,
everything
like,
that he needs to say.
it sounds like you were willing to give him a chance, but he's already given up on your relationship. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
again,
And he's shown through his actions. But we got some relevant comments. Hopefully these relevant comments are saying, girl, wake
get
up.
out of there.
Wake up!
But we got some relevant comments. So a pretty dirt unalive says, he would be an excellent father if he wanted visitation. What? He would be a doctor if he graduated medical school.
Yes.
He would be a millionaire if he had won the Powerball. If he had wings, he'd be a bird. What he is a total failure as a father at ×3. He participated in the creation of 3 little ones, abandoned them emotionally and financially, and now complains that they are a burden. 3 children growing up fatherless, which will color their lives forever because of him. This is the depth of compassion and empathy that he is capable of. This is how he treats the truly powerless and dependent, even though he has every legal and moral obligation to support them because there's nothing in it for him. His maybe they're not mine excuse is a total load of BS because if he had an iota of humanity in him, he'd care enough to find out. And OP responds to this, Sophia.
No.
But yeah, what do you think about that comment?
The thing is, I completely agree. If he believed that these children were truly not his,
then he would
take
have no
a DNA
problem.
test.
Yeah,
He would take
no
a DNA
problem.
test. He would say, yeah. He believes in his heart that they are his.
Yeah.
He knows in his heart that they are his.
I feel like we have like delusion on 2 levels here.
Absolutely.
We have the delusion of this guy who is, I guess, deluding himself thinking that he is not
doesn't
responsible for
confront
these
anything,
kids. And if he
yeah.
doesn't confront everything, it'll go away. And then we have delusional OP that thinks that if she gives this husband another chance, he'll turn into this model father and model partner. And I just don't think we have any evidence of that.
Nope.
But OP responds, okay, this did make me laugh. You have a point. And update 2 1 month later.
Ooh-wee. See if he went to any of his court hearings.
I don't think so. I don't know where to start. After I called off the wedding and returned his grandmother's engagement ring, he packed a duffel full of his clothes and left. It's been about a month and I haven't heard a peep from him. I changed the locks on the apartment, but he hasn't been back for his stuff anyway. He blocked me on Facebook and then, and when I gave in and tried to give him a call a week later, he changed his phone number too. This is his MO.
Yeah.
This is his MO.
He does this. I mean, he's done this to 3 children.
Also, what's crazy is she had a miscarriage. So it could have been 4.
The blocking, I bet he does this to everyone.
He does this to all
blocks
his women.
the women, and then when they try and reach out to him to tell him that they have children, they can't. They can't reach him.
He's got a system. I heard he was staying at his best bro's house, courtesy of bro's girlfriend. Trust me, I went through all the stages of grief, denial, anger, acceptance, etc., and I finally accepted he wasn't coming back. I thought maybe he'd gone back to his home state to be one of the baby mamas, but his car was parked in the parking lot at his work. I may have drove past once or twice. The hearing was scheduled for early this week, and finally tonight I plucked up the courage and went to Best Bro's house to confront him. Why? I think just let him be. Let him be, you know? Like, you don't get involved in him.
You're like, okay, I'm going to confront him and tell him that he can either change or leave. And it's like he's left.
He's left. He's given up on the
left.
relationship. The least he could do is get his crap out of my apartment, right? I grabbed up his many unopened child support notices. We know this is not the reason, right? She just wants to see him.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not, if you really didn't care about him and the relationship, you would probably just put his stuff in a trash bag and leave it there.
Exactly.
And a picture of boy number 1 he left on his dresser. It's the only picture of the 3 kids that he has, and he left it behind because he doesn't care.
Does not care about
Best Bro answered the door, and what follows about the most awkward conversation ever. I can't remember the conversation verbatim, but I asked where ex-fiance was, and Best Bro said he wasn't there. He was being all evasive, and I asked if he went to the hearing or not, and Best Bro looked confused. What hearing? I told him the child support hearing for his 3 kids. Best Bro looked super confused, like I was crazy. Then he asked if I was seeing anyone else other than ex-fiance. I said, of course I wasn't. I gave Best Bro a very abbreviated version, punted ex-fiance out because he was ignoring his child support from his baby mamas. He had a hearing earlier this week. I was getting loud because I'd been bottling this up, and Best Bro's girlfriend came out to see what was going on. She's the one who told me, her exact words, your man lost his dang mind. So I think we're going to see what happened.
Yeah.
Or kids.
More, yeah. And he went
like-
on a bender, and now there's 10 baby mamas.
Oh, man.
The weekend after I punted him out, he went to a bar with his best bro for
Oh
some
my God.
good old girl bashing.
What?
Wait, what? I read ahead.
That's what I'm saying. I
He
read it.
met up with some 22-year-old bartender and hooked up. Read it. He married her last weekend, drove up to Reno, we're a couple hours from the Nevada border, and did the whole Chapel of Love thing.
Where is
Best
he finding
bro
these women?
He's
and his
spiraling.
girlfriend were the witnesses. They hadn't really supported his decision, but he had convinced them I was a cheating witch, and he was heartbroken. Plus, Best Bro's girlfriend implied later that he'd overstayed his welcome by crashing at their house for most of a month. I was shocked and pissed and wanted to cry because I sort of got the vibe that Best Bro still didn't believe I wasn't cheating. So I grabbed the court documents from my car and gave them to him to pass along to my ex. I doubt they'll open them up, but the fact that they're from Old State County's Child Support Division should be good enough evidence. I don't know why I should care about their opinion. Neither one of them called me during this. I thought I was their friend too, but they believed him. Now I'm back home surrounded by his crap and trying to sort out my feelings, put the crap in trash bags and put it on Best Bro's doorstep. I feel like I've just watched someone blow through all the bridges out warning signs and drive off a cliff. I told my ex I'd help him get a lawyer for the hearing, help him with a plane ticket instead of taking care of his business. He went and married some chick he'd known for like 2.5 weeks at most. I think I'm not in the mood to drag out the calendar. Let's be generous and call it 3 weeks. I should feel bad for the girl, his new wife, what the F, for what she's just gotten into, but she must either be a real piece of work herself or just an idiot who marries someone they've known for that short of a time.
Stupid person.
And I know someone out there is thinking, you're an idiot. He had to have known her for longer. He was cheating before this. Well, I'm certain he wasn't. He's a homebody by nature. There was never any missing time in a relationship, and Best Bro is pretty clear they'd met at the bar that night. So basically, instead of going to his child support hearing, he was moving in with his new wifey and probably doing what newly married people do. I hope they're happy together. Of course I don't. I guess my next stop is the legal advice subreddit to figure out what to do with this stuff. He might have a contempt of court warrant out for him for skipping the hearing, so I doubt he'll sue me if I toss it all away. But I do want to cover my butt. By the way, if you want to cover your butt with audio going into your ears, go listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, but it feels like OP is finally getting the message that
Really?
this guy is not coming back.
Well, like it took her a while.
Took her a while.
And it took her it took her boyfriend marrying someone else in Reno.
I know.
Which is kind of shocking.
Way
but
too
it does
long.
seem, again, like his MO. He engages or he marries or whatever.
He has a system. Man works quick.
He makes these women think that they are the love of his
Yep.
life.
And he's like,
then
I
the
want a baby.
second that they say, hey, dude,
What about these 3 baby mamas?
he goes, I'm
ya.
out, and he blocks him.
So let's get into this end of the story. I know I need to ask a question, so here it is. What in the world was he thinking? Out of all the options he had to pick, he picked the very worst. What was she thinking? I loved the man, but even I can admit he's not classically good looking. He had nothing to offer but a low-paying job and being practically homeless. And finally, what is wrong with me that I feel terrible? He's found some new way to F up his life. Hey, that's love, OP. Sucks, but maybe you can choose more wisely in love next time. Hopefully. But oh my gosh, that was a doozy.
Truly.
All right, we got one more story in that episode. I'll be right back.
I just took a DNA test and found out my dad isn't my biological father.
Oh, no.
I'd always read posts like this, but never thought I would be writing one myself at 35 years old. I'm sharing my story in hopes of connecting with others who might understand what I'm going through. If you do read this all, please know that I experienced a lot of denial at the beginning of this process. By the way, this comes from the Secret World X, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, as someone who believes in science and data, it's painful to realize how hard I fought against accepting the truth. If you knew right away in a similar situation, please know I just wasn't capable of that. At least not initially. I was doing the best I could. Just over a week ago on Halloween night, I was about to go to sleep at around 2 a.m. when I got an email that my ancestry DNA results were ready. Eager to see the results, I decided to take a quick look. I was excited because this was a project I had been working on with my father. When his mother,
this is a Pandora's box, as we know.
Yep.
Oh,
When his mother, my closest grandparent, passed a few years ago, we were happy to bond over carrying on her genealogy research to discover and explore our extended family tree. But upon opening the regions page, I was immediately confused. 3 of my grandparents, now all deceased, had strong Ashkenazi backgrounds, which have always been a huge part of my identity. While my living family is not strictly religious, we have always been very connected ethnically and culturally to our Judaism. But when I looked at my results, they showed that I was only 34% Ashkenazi, a stark difference from my brother's 80% from when he took the test a few years ago. I convinced myself that maybe he'd inherited the maximum amount of those genetics while I received the minimum. Regions appeared that I had never heard my family speak of and I had never seen in any of my research. French, Basque, Finnish, I dismissed this as well, recalling posts I have seen about people's DNA results shifting after recent ancestry platform updates. I'm
putting some
denial.
ICUs.
I mean, large ICUs and large amounts of denial to be like, my brother just got more of the Ashkenazi. That's unfortunately not.
That's not how it works. Oh man, my guy.
Yeah. Just a train on.
Mommy was having
course.
a little fun on the side.
Then I moved to regions by parent, and I saw that all my Ashkenazi ancestry came from parent 1, while all these unexpected regions were from parent 2. I felt a pang of panic, but quickly assigned parent 1 to my father, who had 2 Ashkenazi parents, and parent 2 to my mother, who had 1 Ashkenazi parent. I kept reassuring myself that this was just an extreme genetic distribution and nothing more.
Sure.
Then I opened the DNA matches section and saw my brother listed. This was no surprise to me as I knew he had taken a test years ago, but then I saw that he was listed as my half-brother.
Would he not know the same information? Like, would he not know that?
No, because OP wouldn't have shown up.
Right, but like, couldn't because like OP was before he saw half brother. Before OP saw half brother, OP was looking at the like Ashkenazi Jew, like hey, like I know this my mom had these many Ashkenazi Jew parents, and then my
Well,
dad had this many.
I think if OP had been open to any of the information, he would have realized that it wasn't, it was
But the
pointing to
stepbrother didn't know?
he hasn't shown it to his stepbrother.
No, but didn't the stepbrother already did the stepbrother
But
already?
I'm saying if OP, like all of the information is really clear here,
Yeah.
it's pointing to a very clear answer, and it seems like he's just like, no.
Well-
No. I quickly changed the label to full brother, ignoring pop-up warnings encouraging against it. As I kept looking, I noticed 2 other people below my brother who appeared as my paternal grandparents, but their names were not those of the grandparents I grew up with my whole life.
Oh.
They were my grandparents' best friends,
Oh.
my sort of pseudo grandparents growing up. I gasped and clung to the idea that my mother had been adopted by her parents and that both families had stayed close through it all. After sitting with this for a few hours, I called my dad. Even though he and my mom had been divorced for 15 years and I never made it a habit to involve them in each other's affairs, I just needed reassurance, and I've always called my dad when I needed help. When I asked if he knew whether my mom had been adopted, he laughed, assuring me she wasn't. I took him through what I'd found, leaving out details I thought were irrelevant. My dad was quiet as I explained, but he patiently walked me through my theory. The more we talked, the more inconsistencies we uncovered, and I grew increasingly frustrated. Then, to my shock, my dad suggested that he might be questioning his paternity to me.
I thought that when
I
OP
understand.
went through that the Ashkenazi Jew actually did match up.
So what happened here? It seems like OP had parent 1 and parent 2 with no names.
Hmm.
And it said parent 1, a certain amount of Ashkenazi, and then parent 2, like 32% Ashkenazi.
Hmm.
So he went, oh, well, this parent must be my dad, and this parent must be my mom. But he swapped them.
Hmm.
And so he, instead of being like, oh, my dad's not my dad, he was like, my mom's adopted, because he had swapped
Right.
the parents.
Yeah.
So he misassigned them is what has happened here. I laughed it off, even grew angry with him, trying to steer the conversation back to my mom's adoption. But when he looked up his own 23andMe results, I went back to my DNA matches section to find my closest relative on my paternal side. I clicked into family trees expecting to see familiar names, and they were familiar, just not paternally. The tree showed my mother's relatives, her tree. It hit me. I had misassigned my parents. Parent 1 was my mother, and parent 2 was my father.
Hmm.
With the correct assignments, my biological grandparents shifted to my paternal side. As I was confirming this for my father, he protested, telling me this still doesn't line up 100% because my brother had shown up as fully related to me. I then confessed that I had changed my brother's relationship to me, thinking it was a mistake at first. When I reverted my brother's status to its default, it read half-brother, maternal side only.
Hmm. His whole family is falling apart.
I mean, this man was so in denial that he changed the results.
Yeah.
And at that moment, after 2 hours of frustration, I finally broke down. The man who'd been my father all my life and my closest family was not biologically related to me. By 5 a.m., I was beyond exhausted, ashamed for clinging so desperately to denial. My dad told me he'd known from the first result I shared that he likely wasn't my biological father, not because he ever suspected it, but because he trusted the science. He said the hardest part of finding out with me was watching me struggle so hard to rewrite the truth.
I mean, that's because that's all you've ever known.
Yeah.
This is your whole life, and now you're. It's like OP wants to preserve the
lie.
Yeah, the lie.
The
'Cause the
30
truth is
over
harder.
30-year-old lie.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oof. The next 24 hours, sleepless and emotionally raw, were filled with some of the most heart-wrenching conversations of my life. My mother shared with me that early in her marriage to my father, she had a very brief affair. It was only one time. She believed she'd taken all precautions, and with no reason to suspect otherwise, she put that chapter behind her.
I mean, taking all precautions would be to not have the affair.
She's like, I took all precautions.
The safest
Except for-
sex is no sex.
She went on to have 3 children, all resembling my father, and there was never a hint of doubt from anyone in our family. If not for this test, this hidden piece of history would have remained forever unknown.
That's the key about covering your bases with an affair. You gotta find someone who looks like your actual partner.
Yeah.
And then no one will know.
Well, until
Unless
they
they
do a
do
DNA
DNA
test.
Or just have really good genes.
Yeah. Or you just maybe ban DNA tests and say they ruin families.
This past week has been extremely challenging, and the first few days were dang near paralyzing. But I'm choosing to approach this journey with forgiveness and understanding, hoping to find some positive takeaway from it all. My father and I agreed that although unexpected, learning this truth together over the phone was perhaps the best way it could have unfolded. Our bond is unshaken, and we both know this revelation doesn't change anything between us. As for my relationship with my mom, we haven't always been very close, but over the last 7 years, we've grown to understand each other in ways I never thought possible. She married at 20, had me at 21, navigated a difficult past, and a very limited opportunity to explore her identity before starting a family. As our bond deepened over the years, I often found myself wishing I could go back in time, befriend my younger mother, and show her another life, one similar to the one I am currently living and loving, largely thanks to her. I understand that she made a mistake at a young age, but nothing in me feels anger towards her. I realize that in many ways, I'm luckier than most in this situation. I have a supportive family, my siblings included, who have been incredibly reassuring and are fully behind whatever decision I make about reaching out to my biological father. I've connected with a NPE, non-paternal event therapist, and my first session is this Tuesday. I've also ordered a few books written by others who've been through a similar experience, hoping they offer some guidance. My friends have rallied around me, and their support has been a huge comfort. Sharing this here feels like an important part of processing everything, a way to connect with a community who can truly relate. I know there are still many choices ahead, deciding whether to reach out to my biological father, figuring out what to say if I do, and finding a way to rekindle my joy for exploring my ancestry.
Oh man, I feel like it's gonna be hard to rekindle that joy.
Yeah, he's like,
I would be worried about finding more skeletons in the
Yeah.
closet, and then I'm like, oh, like maybe my grandparents aren't my actual grandparents. My great grandparents aren't my actual great grandparents. My uncles are my aunts, and
a lot a lot that you could uncover.
Too much. You know, maybe just live the lie. It's simpler. Don't take the red pill, or is it the blue pill? Which pill do you get?
I
to
never
get out
watched
of
The
the
Matrix.
The Matrix ending pill. Dakota, which the red pill? Don't take the red pill.
I want to get to a place where I can carry on my grandmother's legacy, learning to appreciate each branch of my family tree, even if my connection to each one is now so different. Thank you for giving me a space to share my story. And then comments. While Black Cat says, as someone who believes in science and data, it's painful to realize how hard I fought against accepting the truth. If you knew right away in a similar situation, please know I just wasn't capable of that. When I read that, I thought you'd have been in denial for months, if not years, not 2 hours.
Okay, that's not that bad.
Yeah, it's a relief to everyone that everyone is understanding and supportive. I wish you the best going forward. Maybe in time you could come back and update us on which decisions you made and how everything turned out.
Do we have an update?
Well, OP says, I was still trying to find some random excuses for a few days, but I have fully accepted it now. I just wasn't sure if people would think, how could she not believe the science? It's right there. And also, I've been saying that OP is a man the whole time. Sorry. Maybe that is just me still being hard on myself. So thank you for the reminder to be gentle. There is an update.
Oh, 3.5 months later.
We actually have a lot more to the story.
Oh, wow. How much more?
We're a little bit over halfway through.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
oh, my goodness.
3.5 months later.
Let's get into it.
Let's jump in. I want to thank everyone who read and commented on my last post. The past 4 months have been an absolute whirlwind, and so much has happened. I promised a few of you an update, so here it is. Since Halloween of last year, I've been very intentional about my NPE journey.
What's NPE?
Non-parent entity therapist. Therapy.
Okay.
In November, I started seeing a therapist who specializes in NPE experiences and event. Is that what I said? And she's been incredible. I feel incredibly fortunate. Not only did I find a therapist who's a great fit for me, But she has also been through the exact same experience I had back
That's
in
awesome.
2018.
I mean, not awesome for her, but
No, but she's
awesome
like,
for the therapy
I
that
can
you
help
provide.
you.
Yeah.
I've been through
I've been through this.
and I came out on the other side.
A therapist.
She's helped me navigate both the emotional impact and the logistical aspects of my discovery. As for reaching out to my biological father, I ultimately had my mom deliver the news to him and gauge his reaction. For context, I actually grew up around my biological father and have siblings without knowing our connection. None of us did.
No
Right?
one knew?
Because this was, remember when OP was like, oh yeah, it says that my like pseudo grandparents or pseudo grandparents were my grandparents. I think that's what it said. So I feel like maybe the pseudo grandparents had a kid and that's the father. So the pseudo grandparents had a son that the mother.
But so really it was a family friend, right? That the mother was sleeping with.
I think that's what we're learning.
Mm-hmm.
His parents, my biological grandparents, were best friends with my grandparents, my mom's parents, and he and my mom grew up together.
Wow. Oh, wow. They're kind of like, it's kind of cute, honestly. Like, as far as affair partners go, like, that's kind of the cutest one. You're like childhood sweethearts.
Yeah, I guess.
You
sure.
know? There are way worse affairs to have. You could, you could have an affair with a stripper. That's not that cute. But having an affair with your childhood best friend, that's cute.
Hey, they have lives too, Sam.
Strippers? I know they have, but it's not cute. Maybe it's hot, but it's not cute.
Though he wasn't technically a stranger, we hadn't spoken in years. When my mom told him the truth, he was completely shocked, but also happy and immediately expressed a strong desire to talk on my terms. A few days later, I called him and explained how I discovered the truth. We caught up a bit, but mostly he cried and expressed deep shame for what had happened, particularly what he had done to my dad. He told me he wanted to speak with my dad to make amends, and he did. My bio dad reached out.
How do you even start that conversation?
Hey, dude, I know I never told you for like 35
We
years.
honestly have so much in common. Like, we kind of like the same girls, you know?
And like, I think your son is cool. I mean, sorry, I think my son is cool.
Yeah, I think our son is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
an awkward conversation.
It's definitely an awkward conversation, but maybe if it's done well, you guys could be like, bros.
You can't say that.
Oh, right. Anyway, bros.
I don't think that makes sense anymore. And now you've gone too far away and it doesn't make sense. What about just
bros?
And he did. My bio dad reached out and they had a few conversations. He expressed his regret and reassured my dad that he would never and could never replace him. He's like, hey, dude, like, I don't want you to feel threatened by me. You know, I'm just a guy.
I'm just a guy like everyone else.
Just a guy who had spicy sleep with your wife.
Yeah, and is way better friends with her and has known her for longer.
You know?
But like, don't be intimidated.
Despite the pain, my dad has shown an incredible amount of grace and has been open to having a relationship with my bio dad. Wow. It's not entirely surprising, given that they were actually friends long ago, before and during my parents' marriage. Ouch. Though they hadn't spoken in years, they were never truly strangers. I've made it clear to both of them that whatever relationship they choose to have is entirely up to them. Their journey of forgiveness is separate from mine, and I support whatever path they take. After Christmas, I saw my bio dad in person. While home for the holidays, they drove a few hours to come see me and my mother. The reunion was a bit last minute, but I knew they were eager, and I realized that dragging it out would only make me more anxious. My dad initially struggled with the timing. He felt it was happening too fast, but I reassured him that this was the right decision for me and my own healing. Eventually, he supported me. The reunion itself was surreal. I saw my bio dad, his wife, whom he met long after I was conceived, my 2 half-siblings, and my bio grandparents. Though I had known them as a teenager, the dynamic was understandably different. They had all cried, hugged me, and expressed how happy they were to have me in their lives.
This is so, it's like adopting a child as an adult.
Yeah.
It's like a weird, it's cute, I think, but it's just so odd.
But also it's interesting because, I mean, OP even says it, though I had known them as a teenager, the dynamic was completely different. Like she's right.
Yeah,
she's learned or she's known these people kind of her whole life, but now is being reintroduced to them.
which I think is weirder than because often when this story happens, it's like this.
Yeah, you see her family, you don't know them.
Yeah,
but like she's
and then
known
you're
them.
being introduced to this person for the first time, and it's like, oh, that's my biological father.
Yeah.
Right, and I think it's much easier to apply that new frame to someone you've never met.
Yeah.
But to someone you already know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, like I know you just know me as your mommy's friend, but I'm actually your dad.
Your daddy.
Like that, I think that's a hard switch to,
I agree.
to take on.
They all cried, hugged me, and expressed how happy they were to have me in their lives. We ate, drank, and tried to keep things as natural as possible. We even went out to dinner and toasted to everyone's strength in handling this news. The last toast was to my dad, which completely choked me up. I cried when they left. One thing that came up when I shared my regional DNA results is that my bio dad got confirmation that his grandpa was not his father's father.
Wait. This runs in the family.
Oh my goodness. What?
It goes so high. Multi-generations of people just having affairs.
Their family has been speculating for a while that there was a DNA discrepancy, and my results just proved it. And allowed my bio dad to tell his dad that his father was not biologically related to him. That's a whole other story that has come undone because of my discovery. Since the visit, my bio dad and I have spoken a few times, but everything has been very low pressure. After such an emotional and intense November and December, we all felt the need to settle into our new reality. The start of the year has been about finding normalcy again, and it's been refreshing to deal with everyday life while continuing to work through things with my therapist. The world is only getting weirder and weirder as time passes, and I'm trying to keep my discovery in perspective, to see it as a blip in my experience that makes me interesting and challenges me to rethink my understanding of connection, relationships, and family. With the continuous support of my friends and family, I don't think it needs to be anything more than that right now. Moving forward, I want to wait until the summertime to start digging back into my Ancestry account. My goal is to continue to help my father build out his tree, even if my DNA won't be an asset there. By the way, you would be an asset to us if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and search up OK Storytime.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the almost end of the story. There's a little bit left to it.
I love how we're uncovering so much.
So much.
It's very interesting. I just feel like it is to be the person in it feels completely destabilizing.
Oh my goodness. To one, find out that like your whole life is kind of a lie, and that the family friend that you've had for years, 30 years.
But at least that ended up cute.
Yeah.
But not
then,
every layer is going to end up that cute.
No, but then to also learn that like two things deeper, your great grandpa also isn't your, just like you keep destabilizing everything.
Yeah. Oh.
Tough.
But we got a little bit more to this story.
Yes. I will keep working on my mother's tree, and I have agreed to help my bio dad do more research on his family. You're just helping everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Since he doesn't know who his real grandfather is, I want to find ways to relate to all three trees, even if they all feel slightly different to me. In the meantime, I will work to gather health history and other info from my living bio family so that I can give my real health history for the first time to my doctors. Thanks again to everyone who has followed along and offered support. Feel free to message if you're going through something similar and want to talk about it. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
Wowee.
Wow.
Kind of connected to the first story in that we had, all these secrets come out one after another.
I know. The beauty of some DNA and paternity tests.
Yeah.
And the beauty of some tunnel buddies.
True.
I think that's the love story that we need to really talk about is the tunnel buddies that were exposed and the bromance that's budding.
The budding bromance.
But that's where that story ends. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you and
see you tomorrow.